20 places where nature can kill you in minutes. Some places on Earth look breathtaking, but stepping into them can mean instant death. From deadly animals to toxic landscapes, these locations are so dangerous that nature itself becomes the enemy. Today, we explore 20 places where nature can kill you in minutes, ranked from the least terrifying to the most dangerous of them all. Number 20. Poveglia Island. At first glance, Poveglia looks like a quiet, abandoned island sitting in the Venetian lagoon. Old buildings rise between the vegetation. From a distance, it almost seems peaceful, but stepping onto the island quickly reveals something very different. The ground is unstable in many places, and the structures that remain have been deteriorating for decades. Floors collapse without warning. Staircases crumble under weight. Sections of walls have fallen, leaving jagged debris hidden by overgrowth. With no residents and restricted access, there are no emergency services nearby. If someone were injured here, help would not arrive quickly. What makes Poveglia dangerous isn't wildlife or climate. It's abandonment itself, slowly turning the entire island into a hazardous ruin. Number 19. Surtsey Island, a newborn island where the ground itself is unstable. Not far from the southern coast of Iceland, a small island rises from the North Atlantic that did not even exist before the 1960s. Surtsey was formed during a violent volcanic eruption that lasted nearly 4 years. What remains today is one of the youngest pieces of land on Earth. From above, it looks calm, black volcanic rock surrounded by the ocean. But the surface is still fragile and constantly changing. Sections of the island erode into the sea. Hidden steam vents and unstable ground can appear without warning. Powerful Atlantic waves pound the coastline, making landing extremely dangerous. Because of its scientific importance, almost no one is allowed to step foot on it. Here, the danger is simple. The island itself is still being formed. Number 18. Mount Washington, a mountain where the weather turns deadly in minutes. In the White Mountains of New Hampshire stands a peak that looks relatively modest compared to the giants of the world. Mount Washington rises just 1,917 meters above sea level. But what makes this place dangerous isn't its height, it's the weather. The mountain is famous for some of the most violent atmospheric conditions ever recorded. Winds have exceeded 370 kilometers per hour, among the strongest measured on Earth. Temperatures can drop rapidly, and thick clouds often erase visibility within minutes. Hikers who start the climb under clear skies can suddenly find themselves trapped in freezing winds and whiteout conditions. On Mount Washington, the landscape may look manageable, but the climate here can transform a normal hike into a life-threatening situation. Number 17. Fraser Island, a paradise where wild predators still rule. Fraser Island, off the coast of Queensland, looks like a tropical paradise. Endless beaches stretch along turquoise waters, and dense forests cover the interior of the island. Tourists arrive expecting calm scenery and wildlife encounters. But this island is also home to one of the most aggressive populations of wild dingoes in Australia. Unlike domestic dogs, these predators are territorial and highly opportunistic. Over the years, several attacks on visitors have been reported, especially when people wander alone or carry food. The island's vast dunes and remote areas also make help difficult to reach quickly. Fraser Island may appear peaceful during the day, but here, humans are visitors inside the territory of wild predators that still follow their natural instincts. Number 16. Skeleton Coast, where the desert and the ocean trap everything that arrives. Along the northern coast of Namibia stretches a place sailors once feared more than the open sea itself. The Skeleton Coast earned its name from the countless shipwrecks scattered along its shores. From above, it looks like a vast, empty beach fading into a harsh desert. But the danger here comes from the combination of two extreme environments. Cold Atlantic currents generate thick coastal fog that can erase visibility for hours. Just beyond the sand, the Namib Desert begins, one of the driest landscapes on Earth. Anyone stranded here faces a brutal choice: freezing winds from the ocean or deadly dehydration inland. With almost no infrastructure and enormous distances between between settlements, survival quickly becomes a race against the environment. Number 15. Madidi National Park, a jungle where nearly everything bites, stings, or poisons. Deep in the Bolivian Amazon lies Madidi National Park, one of the most biologically diverse places on Earth. Scientists have documented thousands of species here, many of them found nowhere else. From a distance, the rainforest canopy looks vibrant and full of life, but stepping inside reveals how unforgiving this ecosystem can be. Venomous snakes hide along riverbanks and forest trails. Poisonous frogs live among the wet leaves. Insects capable of spreading serious diseases swarm in the humid air. Even the plants themselves can cause severe reactions if touched. The terrain is dense and disorienting, with rivers that flood quickly during storms. In Madidi, the danger isn't one single predator. It's the entire environment working together. Number 14. Oymyakon, the cold that shuts the human body down. Hidden deep in eastern Siberia lies a small settlement known as Oymyakon. It is widely considered the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. During winter, temperatures here can plunge below -50 degrees Celsius. At those levels, exposed skin begins to freeze within minutes. Metal becomes brittle, fuel thickens, and even breathing outside for long periods becomes painful. Residents are adapted to these conditions, but for visitors or travelers unprepared for the environment, the cold can become dangerous very quickly. Cars must often remain running to prevent engines from freezing solid. A simple mechanical failure or getting stranded outdoors can quickly turn into a life-threatening situation. In Oymyakon, survival depends entirely on preparation against the relentless cold. Number 13. Death Valley, a desert where the heat overwhelms the human body. In eastern California lies a landscape that holds the record for the highest air temperature ever recorded on Earth. Death Valley regularly experiences summer temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius. From the ground, the terrain appears open and quiet. Vast salt flats, dry mountains, and long, empty roads. But the real danger here is the heat itself. The extreme temperatures quickly drain the body of water through sweat and rapid breathing. Without constant hydration and shade, dehydration and heat stroke can develop in a short time. Vehicles can overheat, and walking long distances becomes extremely risky. Every year, rescue teams respond to visitors who underestimate these conditions. In Death Valley, the sun alone can become a deadly force. Number 12. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, nature reclaiming a radioactive landscape. In northern Ukraine, a vast region remains largely abandoned decades after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster of 1986. Known as the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, the area covers thousands of square kilometers where human activity was drastically reduced after the accident. Over time, forests and wildlife have returned, slowly reclaiming cities, roads, and buildings left behind. But despite the appearance of recovery, radiation still lingers in parts of the environment. Certain hotspots remain dangerous, especially if contaminated dust is disturbed, or if someone spends prolonged time in restricted areas. Structures across the zone are also deteriorating, creating additional physical hazards. While guided visits exist today, large portions of the zone remain unsafe. Here, the danger is invisible. Number 11. Kawah Ijen, a volcanic crater filled with toxic gas. On the Indonesian island of Java lies the Kawah Ijen volcano, home to one of the most unusual volcanic landscapes on Earth. Inside the crater sits a large acidic lake surrounded by deposits of sulfur. During the night, miners descend into the crater to extract sulfur from vents that release thick clouds of gas. The environment here can quickly become dangerous. Sulfur dioxide rises constantly from the ground, forming dense fumes that irritate the lungs and eyes. Without proper masks, breathing the gas for extended periods can cause severe respiratory distress. The terrain itself is also unstable, with steep slopes and loose volcanic rock. Kawah Ijen attracts travelers curious about its glowing blue flames, but the air inside the crater can turn hostile very quickly. Number 10. Lake Natron. Waters so alkaline they can burn skin. In northern Tanzania lies a lake that looks almost surreal from the air. Lake Natron often glows red or pink due to microorganisms that thrive in its extreme chemistry. The shallow waters shimmer beneath the sun, surrounded by vast salt flats and volcanic landscapes. But beneath that striking appearance is one of the harshest aquatic environments on Earth. The water is highly alkaline, with pH levels that can approach those of strong household chemicals. Temperatures in the shallow lake can also climb dramatically under the African sun. For most animals, entering the water can quickly cause severe irritation or burns to the skin and eyes. Only a few specially adapted species survive here. At Lake Natron, the water itself is hostile. Number 9. Danakil Depression, a landscape of acid pools and extreme heat. In northeastern Ethiopia lies one of the most hostile environments on Earth, the Danakil Depression. The region sits below sea level and is surrounded by active volcanic systems. From above, the terrain looks almost alien. Pools of bright yellow, green, and orange minerals cover the ground, formed by acidic hot springs and volcanic gases rising from beneath the crust. Temperatures here regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius, making it one of the hottest places on the planet. The colorful formations are visually stunning, but they are also chemically dangerous. Many of the pools contain highly acidic water capable of burning skin. Toxic gases can also accumulate near the ground. In the Danakil Depression, the land itself behaves like a living chemical laboratory. Number 8. North Sentinel Island, a forbidden island where contact can turn deadly. Far out in the Bay of Bengal lies one of the most isolated islands on Earth. North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese, an indigenous tribe that has remained almost completely cut off from the outside world for thousands of years. The island itself is covered in dense forest and surrounded by coral reefs that make approaching the shoreline extremely difficult. Because the Sentinelese reject outside contact, the Indian government has made it illegal to travel within several kilometers of the island. Attempts to approach have often been met with arrows fired from the beach. The danger here comes from entering a place where outsiders are not welcome. On North Sentinel Island, simply getting too close can immediately become life-threatening. Number 7. Ramree Island, mangrove swamps ruled by saltwater crocodiles. Off the western coast of Myanmar lies Ramree Island, a place covered in dense mangrove swamps and tidal channels. At first glance, the landscape appears like many other tropical wetlands. Thick vegetation grows along muddy banks, and shallow waterways wind through the forest. But beneath the surface of these swamps lives one of the most dangerous predators on Earth, the saltwater crocodile. These reptiles can grow more than 6 meters long and are capable of explosive ambushes from the water's edge. The mangrove terrain makes escape extremely difficult, with deep mud and tangled roots slowing movement. In an environment like this, visibility is limited, and the water is rarely clear. On Ramree Island, the silence of the swamp often hides what is waiting just beneath the surface. Number 6. Vale do Javari, one of the most remote jungles on Earth. Deep in the western Amazon of Brazil lies the Vale do Javari, a vast region of dense rainforest near the borders with Peru and Colombia. From the air, it appears as an endless sea of green, cut only by winding rivers and flooded forest. But this isolation is exactly what makes the area so dangerous. The terrain is extremely difficult to navigate, with thick vegetation, hidden swamps, and powerful river currents. Venomous animals and tropical diseases are constant risks. In many places, there are no roads, no settlements, and no reliable communication. Rescue operations can take days to arrive, if they arrive at all. In the Vale do Javari, the environment itself creates a barrier, where once someone is lost, finding them again becomes incredibly difficult. Number 5. Darien Gap, a jungle where the terrain itself becomes a trap. Between Colombia and Panama lies a stretch of rainforest known as the Darien Gap. On maps, it appears as the only break in the Pan-American Highway, a road that otherwise runs from Alaska to the southern tip of South America. The reason this section was never completed becomes clear once you enter the jungle. The terrain is brutal. Thick vegetation, steep hills, and flooded swamps make movement slow and exhausting. Rivers can rise suddenly after heavy rain, turning trails into dangerous currents. In many areas, there are no roads, no infrastructure, and no quick way out. The humidity drains energy quickly, and disorientation in the forest is common. Inside the Darien Gap, the jungle itself becomes the obstacle that can overwhelm anyone unprepared. Number 4. Bermuda Triangle, where the ocean itself becomes the danger. In the western Atlantic Ocean lies a vast region commonly known as the Bermuda Triangle. It stretches roughly between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. At first glance, the area looks like any other part of the open ocean. Cargo ships cross it daily, and aircraft regularly fly above its waters. But this region is also known for sudden storms, powerful currents, and rapidly changing weather systems. In open sea conditions like these, small errors in navigation can escalate quickly. Waves can rise without warning, and visibility can vanish during heavy storms. When vessels encounter trouble far from land, rescue operations become extremely difficult. In the Bermuda Triangle, the danger doesn't come from land or animals. It comes from the vast and unpredictable ocean itself. Number 3. Ilha da Queimada Grande, an island dominated by venomous snakes. Off the southeastern coast of Brazil lies a small island that is strictly closed to the public. Ilha da Queimada Grande, often called Snake Island, is one of the few places on Earth where the landscape is dominated by a single predator. The island is home to the golden lancehead, a highly venomous pit viper found nowhere else in the world. Because the island is isolated, the snake population grew with almost no natural predators. Many of them hunt from branches and rocky ground, waiting for birds that land to rest during migration. Their venom is extremely potent and can cause severe tissue damage if untreated. For this reason, Brazil restricts access to the island. On Snake Island, the danger is everywhere you step. Number 2. Mount Everest, the death zone above 8,000 meters. High above the Himalayas, Mount Everest reaches into an altitude where the human body begins to fail. Climbers call it the death zone. This region starts roughly at 8,000 meters above sea level, where the air contains only a fraction of the oxygen available at lower elevations. At these heights, every movement becomes exhausting. The body cannot recover properly, and prolonged exposure slowly shuts down vital functions. Temperatures can plunge far below freezing, and powerful winds sweep across the exposed ridges. Even experienced climbers rely on bottled oxygen to survive the final ascent. Rescue operations are extremely difficult in this environment, and exhaustion can become fatal very quickly. In the death zone of Everest, survival itself becomes a race against time. Number 1. Mount Nyiragongo, the volcano with one of the fastest lava flows on Earth. In the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo stands Mount Nyiragongo, a volcano known for something extremely rare, one of the largest and most active lava lakes on the planet. Inside its crater, molten rock constantly churns and bubbles, glowing bright orange against the dark volcanic walls. But the real danger appears when the volcano erupts. Nyiragongo's lava is unusually fluid compared to most volcanoes, allowing it to flow downhill at frightening speeds. During past eruptions, rivers of lava moved rapidly toward nearby towns, destroying homes and forcing thousands of people to flee. The city of Goma sits only about 20 kilometers away from the volcano. In Nyiragongo's case, the threat is not just the eruption itself, but how quickly the lava can travel.